Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Davis. I'm a youth services librarian at the Jersey City Free Public Library, and I'll be leading the weekly session this week because this month is Picture Book Month. So I'm going to be sharing with you some information about why reading picture books to your child, your preschool child in particular, but in my career, I've read picture books to high school students as well. I think everybody enjoys a good picture book. But why it's so important, especially for preschoolers. So before I dive into some book suggestions and a quick read aloud to model how you could read a book with your child, I wanted to share some information. And some of you might be familiar with this website already. I shared a link to it in a previous newsletter. So if you got to explore it, that's amazing. If not, I just want to highlight some information about why it's so important to read to your preschooler. Your baby's brain is literally making trillions of connections in the first few years. So it's really important to use books to kind of model some experiences that they might have in life and also to build vocabulary. Between the ages of 1 and 2, often children quadruple the number of words that they know. So it's really important to give them a wealth of words. And that's a great thing with picture books because sometimes the words they might not know, but the pictures support that. So they're actually learning the vocabulary with these clues that they might not have if they hear those words out and about in everyday life. And babies learn best through interactions, and you're their favorite person. So who better to learn from? And the stakes could not be higher. Some children will hear 30 million fewer words than their peers before the age of 4. And the number of words a child knows when entering kindergarten is a prediction of learning success. So for example, a child that's not reading at grade level by the end of first grade has an 88% chance of not reading at grade level by the end of fourth grade. And those that are not reading proficiently by third grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of school. So you can see how reading to your child, even just 15 minutes a day, can predict their future success into high school. So for this month, read-aloud.org has a challenge that they do that they just always have. So maybe for Read Aloud Month, you want to take the 21-day challenge. And each day it gives the caretaker, like you, or for me, I'm an aunt, so I can do this with my nieces and nephews. It gives you a different thing to challenge yourself as a person that reads aloud. So for example, day 1, read with expression, use voices, and do sound effects. So to model that, I love this book. I'm gonna mute it so that I can read it to you. This is called Moo by David La Rochelle, and it's a great book that is basically one word, moo, and you can read it with expression to model all the different emotions that this cow is having. So let's dive in. So Moo by David La Rochelle. Moo. Hmm? Moo. Moo! 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 Really get the wind in your hair. Moo moo. Moo! 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 Moo 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 moo, 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 moo. And this would be a good time. You can ask the child to remember what just happened and how those moos can correspond. Moo. Moo, 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 moo. Moo, moo, moo. You can decide which emotion you want to highlight for this one. I'm highlighting the sad. Moo, 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 moo. Moo. Bah. All right, the end. So that's a very simple book that you can use with even someone that isn't able to read. I would read a book like that with maybe my 2-year-old niece. It would be perfect. I mean, really any age though, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's just a fun one that really highlights how emotions can be, and you can really stress to look at your face and pause and ask, you know, when they're sad, what does their face look like? They're frowning and their eye, it's crinkled here. And if they're happy, they have a smile and their eyebrows go up. So all of these things are really important, not only so they can match vocabulary, because it's like, if it's like, oh, the cow was so desolate, or not desolate, dismayed, they can use the pictures and they can get an idea where it's like, oh, well, I'm guessing it's something like sad. So that's another way that they're building that vocabulary, by using the pictures as clues. So anyways, I think that's just a really good one, and can have conversations, and it can also incorporate the social and emotional learning, which is very important. Like, why is he sad? And cause and effects questions, you know, like if he made a different decision, would that have happened? And how could he make a better decision? And connect it to their own life. You know, would you make that decision? What would happen if you took a car? And things like that. So there's just so many different ways that reading, even a simple book that has 2 words, moo and ba, can have so many deeper discussions. Okay, so I have some other samples, because picture books aren't just silly books about cars being stolen by cows, but you can also get nonfiction books that are great. So Stephen Jenkins is one of my favorite authors for nonfiction picture books. This one's called Actual Size, and it's just pictures of animals with the actual sizes of things. So you can compare and make it a game, even if the child doesn't want the words. And this is pretty short. Some nonfiction books have lots of words, and then you can just focus on the picture. And then as you revisit the book, because rereading books is really helpful to the children, then you can add more depth by reading more words. Maybe you start off just taking a sentence, and then you can add another sentence for a new fact, but you want to keep their attention. So don't focus on reading every word, just focus on getting them engaged and excited, and teach them maybe just one thing off the page if they don't have the patience to learn more. But anyway, something like this is really great, because then you can, you know, put it like, oh, look, it could eat my head. Or that's a great white shark. What's over here? Like, this is the actual size of a frog. What would you do if this frog jumped out at you? And these teeth, what if this shark was coming towards you? And oh my gosh, here's a gorilla's hand. How does it compare to my hand? So a book like this is great, and he's got a lot of books to choose from, Steve Jenkins. And then here's another one that's really good for even younger kids, because it's basically just guessing. So it gives you a picture of eggs. What will hatch from the egg? Oh, that's a sea turtle. Where do sea turtles live? And then you can add facts that you may know, or you can make it a research project to learn more about where do sea turtles live and things like that. So this is picture books that are nonfiction that are great. And again, for younger learners that maybe don't feel comfortable trying to read words, there are so many books that are just pictures, and you can read the pictures with your child, and kids love to do this. I just did this with my 2-year-old niece, and for a book that has no words, I think we spent half an hour reading it because we were really focused on, like, how does this person feel? Why? We see there's lots of snow. We see they're bundled up, so they might be really cold. And we just made personal connections. What would you do if the wolf was coming towards you? How does the wolf feel right now? And we just had a lot of fun, just kind of, like I said, reading the pictures. So a book like Wolf in the Snow, David Weisner has a lot of picture books that don't have words, and Ano has a lot. And then there's something like No David, that if you've got a child in your life that's a bit of a troublemaker or makes bad choices, then you can read No David. So it's really simple, but you can talk about the pictures. Why should David not be trying to get to the cookie jar? And it could be maybe he shouldn't be eating sweets, or it's dangerous to climb on a chair and he might fall, things like that. And so this is really a simple book with a few words, but kids really like it. And you can talk about, again, that social and emotional learning about when is it appropriate to play with your food? Most times not, things like that. And then there's these books like this. So this is by Peter Brown, who also wrote Wild Robot. If you have a child that reads chapter books, that is an amazing one. I used to teach 3rd grade, and I know the 2nd grade teachers always read it. So it's for a perfect one for about that age group. But children make terrible pets. So this is a good one because the different characters have different color words. So it's easy for the child to follow along if you do different voices, so they know, okay, if it's the narrator, it's just a normal voice. So one morning, Lucy was, and you should, when you're first reading a book, point out the words so they know where to look. That's why a book like No David is really simple. What I do with my nieces is I'll read the sentence, don't play with your food. And then don't play with your food. And then they know where the words are. So they feel like they're reading, and eventually they will recognize that's don't, that's play. That will come later, but it just really engages them and it helps them feel like they're a reader. So anyways, so something like this is good because the narrator's voice is different than the girl bear. Hello, who's there? I can smell you behind those bushes. So just come on out. And again, like, make it fun for them. Use silly voices. Squeak. When her secret admirer scurried into the open, Lucy could not believe her eyes. Oh my gosh, you are the cutest critter in the whole forest. Squeak. So they know squeaking is green, or you can point that out to them, and then they can follow along. So Lucy brought the critter home to show her mom. Mom, look what I found outside. I call him Squeaker because he makes funny sounds. Squeak. See, isn't he the cutest? Can I keep him, please? Lucille Beatrice Bear, don't you know that children make terrible pets? Oh, come on, Mom. Look how sweet he is. You won't be any trouble, will you, boy? Squeak. Oh, all right. You can keep him on one condition. Squeaker is your responsibility. I will not take care of him for you. Thanks, Mom. Squeaker's going to be the best pet ever. You'll see. So, and again, you can take the opportunity if you are thinking about getting a pet for your child. This would be a good story to use to talk about what the responsibilities of having a pet, feeding it, loving it, training it, things like that. So you can also use books to have conversations about everyday issues that you're facing. And there's lots of different issues, bullying or kindness or even activities. So today we did an art project, me and my nieces, where we found rocks and we're going to paint them for like the kindness rocks. And there's lots of stories even about that. So you can tie it into a fun activity to do with your child, and something like finding a rock and painting it is pretty simple. We have paint around. And you just go outside and pick up a rock, and then you can make a whole story time about it. And actually, I was filming it for a story time that will be shared here. So if you keep your eyes peeled, then you can see it and you can read along with us and paint rocks with us. And yeah, so anyways, hopefully all of that makes sense. I'm very passionate about reading aloud with your child. And if you have any questions, please email me. My email is kdavis@jclibrary.org. And I'm happy to answer any questions. If you look on the website, you'll see videos about how to do a story time. I did that with my 4-year-old niece, and I actually just filmed one with my 2-year-old niece where we used some of these books that have simpler text, but that keep them engaged. Because if you're reading a lot, then for the younger kids, you can lose their interest. So you want to keep it short and snappy. And with a book like Wolf in the Snow, then they get to dictate how much time they want to spend. When they're bored, they just turn the page for you and you know it's time to move on. But even if they don't read the words, we still talked about things. Like we talked about how the steam comes out of your mouth when it's really cold outside. And we talked about fatigue. You're so tired that you just collapse. So we're still learning higher level words, even though this book has no words. So anyway, feel free to watch those videos. And, I used physical books, but if you wanted to use some of our online resources, you can read books through Overdrive. There's also a video for that. Hoopla. I know someone is making one if there's not already a video about signing up for Hoopla. Miss Humblebee. So there's lots of things if you go online to explore, where even if you can't get a physical book, you can still read to your child using an online reader. So anyway, I hope that you decide to take up the 21-day read aloud challenge and read lots of picture books this month, fiction, nonfiction, all of it. And until then, I hope you have a great week until we see you next week for the next Thursday Live. Bye.